Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Back in early November, and this was kind of fitting because it came out just before the U.S. presidential election, I got a daily impact email from Bob Burg. If you're not familiar, he puts out a daily email. It can be read in 30 seconds. It's impactful, daily impact. But this particular one, I'll read portions of it. I won't read the whole thing. You ought to, if you can, subscribe to Bob's newsletter, and from time to time I will put that link in the show notes, and I'll put it in with this one as well. But he shares, this is Bob Burg, people often do things that astound me in terms of rudeness, thoughtlessness, inconsiderateness, and in dozens of other ways. Then Bob segues into a quote from Epictetus, and the quote goes, "When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you'll forget your anger." And Bob goes on to share that he reflects on that from time to time, and what he does is he thinks about it in two ways. One, he asks himself, is what bothers him about what the other person does, is it something that he's guilty of as well? You know, for example, if you're somebody who is just totally bothered by being interrupted by people cutting you off mid-sentence, you need to think about that in terms of yourself. That's one of my pet peeves. I don't like to be interrupted. I generally will go with the flow, but it bothers me when I'm repeatedly interrupted. But as I've noticed that that bothers me, I've started to ask myself, okay, do I do that? And you know what, I do from time to time. And sadly, I'll do it with my wife. And she'll be talking, and I'll just jump right in. And I'm just trying to be more conscious of it. And I'm sure there's lots of other things about me. Just ask my wife. There are lots of things about me. But anyhow, Bob's point is that if somebody's doing something that's bothering you, ask yourself, okay, is that me? Am I opinionated? Do I cut people off? How that might be a reflection on me. And at times we're annoyed by other people's behavior, and it's absolutely our behavior. And then the second thing he reminds himself is Bob acknowledges their failings might not be his failings, but he has plenty of his own. And I think that's true of all of us, is that we all have failings. And it's easy to, it's easy just to start looking at other people and just picking other people apart. And just, certainly in our minds, hey, we're bothered by this, so they're so annoying, But stop and look at what you need to work on, or what I need to work on, because I'm not perfect. I have a friend that was once dealing with somebody who is hypercritical of him and of other people, and he turned to that person and he said. He basically, called them out. You're being hypercritical of other people. Why don't you worry about your own failings? I mean, what do you want everyone else to work on themselves. What are you working on? And the person, stopped and thought and like, well, I can't think of anything that I need to work on. And my friend turned to him and said, well, what you need to work on is you need to stop being critical of other people. I thought it was classic. But it's true. It's like we all have shortcomings. We're all imperfect beings, and people are going to annoy us. People we have relationships with. I mean, I can't think of anybody I can't think of anybody who doesn't do something that just, oh gosh, that just drives me crazy. Um, Friends, family. I mean, it's just we're all off a little bit from one another. We all, and that may change from day to day. Something might not bother you one day and it bothers you the next. We're people. We're all different. We all approach life from different perspectives, and certainly that's going to change over time. We just need to have a degree of patience with each other. Um, and when I say we, I include myself in that we. A lot of times when I'm talking here, I don't want to be preaching. It's more, this is more self-help for me, maybe, or maybe not more for me, but as much for me as anybody else. Um, we just need to be patient with people. And yeah, people are going to have bad days. People are going to be rude. They're not going to be as thoughtful as they could be. They're going to be inconsiderate. They're going to be lots of things. But so are we. So are we. And it doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you had a bad moment. And sometimes that's what people will see in us, is just that bad moment, that bad little soundbite. And that might be the only thing they have. And you don't want to be judged on that one bad little soundbite. And and neither do other people want to be judged like that. So be patient with people. Recognize that you're imperfect, and the people you have relationships with are imperfect, and you just need to deal with it. You just need to deal with it. And one of the things that you can certainly do is stop and ask yourself this. This is kind of the simple exercise moving forward, is yeah, that bothers me about them. Yeah, they were rude, this or that. What about them do I like? What are the good qualities? Because if you stop and focus on not just that, hey, I might be failing, but focus on what their good qualities are, you'll have a better relationship with them in the end.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AMSPIRIT.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connection. All rights reserved.